Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Alumni Association, my name is Catherine Simon, and I'm the Alumni Engagement Officer. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the land we are on today, recognizing that many of us are in locations outside of the Windsor area. Please acknowledge the land on which you are on today. The University of Windsor sits on the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, which includes the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. We respect the longstanding relationships with First Nations people in this place, in the 100 Peninsula, Windsor-Essex Peninsula, and the Straits of Detroit. I would like to welcome everyone to this event. Special thank you to our panelists joining us today and to our host, Duania. I look forward to the conversation and to hearing your individual stories. Now I'll hand things over to Duania.
Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everyone, and happy Alumni Week. I mean, I wish I was on campus to celebrate, but I'm not, but it's okay. We can celebrate virtually. Like Catherine said, I am going to be your host for today, and we are going to be speaking to three of our wonderful alumni who they're just out there doing the best, okay? Unfortunately, I wasn't cool enough to be in drama. I'm just dramatic. That's all I can offer. But I would like to introduce you to our guests. We're first going to introduce them, and then we're going to allow them to really tell you a little bit more about themselves. So first, welcome Alexis Gordon. Hi, Alexis.
Hi there.
Then we are going to welcome Jamal Grant. Hey,
hello.
And then we are going to welcome Kevin Hanchard.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Okay, so before we get started, I want everyone to just introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us one really good UWindsor memory. So let's start with Alexis.
Oh no, I don't have a memory prepped, but hi, I'm Alexis Gordon. I am a graduate of the 2012 BFA acting program. So yeah, 10 years ago, wild. I'm at the Shaw Festival. I'm in Niagara on the Lake right now. I work at the Shaw Festival. It's my third season, or I did a little mini half season in 2020 when we attempted to bring things up. So I like to joke that it's season 3.5. We're about to wrap up this year, go into the Christmas season. I worked at the Stratford Festival. I was most recently on the Mervish stage and at the Grand Theatre, where I grew up in London, Ontario. But yeah, I love to sing and act, mainly on the stage is where you'll see me. That's a bit about me. Oh gosh, a favorite, oh gosh, you win memory. The first thing that I think of when I think of the School of Dramatic Art is the heated floors that I got in my time. So I think of those cozy, I know, I'm sorry, Kevin. I think of those cozy heated floors where we'd spend many hours in between rehearsals and between classes.
Oh, wow, that's a good memory. I don't even have heated floors in my little bathroom, but okay, go ahead. Drama. I missed out, clearly I missed out. Next intro, and I need a fun fact here. I need a fun fact. Jamal.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Jamal Grant, graduate from 2003. I have mostly relegated myself to TV and film. It's a two-pronged reason. One, I enjoy it more, and two, I've actually had more success, surprisingly. Even though I had a degree in theater, for some reason they prefer to see me on TV. Commercials, primarily. So some people might recognize me from McDonald's, RBC, which I do right now. I've done a lot of small parts, bit parts, and I've kind of worked my way up in the industry now and finally getting some nice, decent roles in the industry and different parts and meeting different people like Rupert Everett I met recently, Patricia Clarkson got to work with, so that was pretty good. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And my best UWindsor memory, I have to prepare for this one because I'm actually really quite proud of this one. I wrote, directed, produced, and also co-starred in a grand stage combat play that we did at the University of Windsor. And we got to do it on the main stage, work those connections. And we raised all the money we raised for it. We put towards a scholarship that was then given out the following year for, I believe, students in BA drama, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Catherine might remember better, but yeah. So yeah, that was my best UWindsor memory. It was great to be able to put my own show on the main stage.
That's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, that's a good memory right there. Next intro, Kevin.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin Hanchard. I'd like to talk about myself. I'd really like to point out that Alexis was a DORA nominee and DORA winner this year as well. She's being modest, but her play Room, which was done by Mervish, was apparently dynamite. I didn't get a chance to see it because I've been out on the East Coast, but she's one to look out for. So I'm gonna hype her up, and she's want to hype up herself. Congratulations, sister, you did a great job. Myself, I am a graduate of the class of 2012. There's a whole bunch of the people I went to school with who are going, no, you're not, but we'll explain that another time. I had one English credit that I needed to get, and I got it in 2012. That's how I finished up. So I'm, I've been a jack of all trades. I love theater. Theater is always my heart. That's where I started my career. That's, where I continue to go back to. Right now, film and television has been a home for me, and I'm really grateful for that. But I always try to moonlight back and forth. I wish I could sing. Once again, I look to Alexis again. I wish I could sing. I wish I could dance. I would give it all up if I could do musicals on Broadway, but I wasn't given that gift, and I just work with what I got. But things have been good, and people may remember me from some of my TV work. I was on Orphan Black for 5 seasons, and I'm currently on. They will be mad if I don't say the hit television show Hudson Rex. I have to say that when I mention it, which airs on City TV on Sunday nights. So that's that. I'm a proud father of 4. I've got a beautiful wife. I live in the wonderful metropolis of Mississauga, Ontario, and I'm really grateful to be here right now. So I'm looking forward to this discussion.
And that fun Windsor fact, don't think I'm letting you get off
Oh,
the hook.
fun Windsor fact. Listen, we didn't even have heat in the old school of dramatic art, let alone heated floors. I'm just breaking it down for real. But we did have like the never ending supply of beef and cheese burritos from the 7-Eleven across the street, which was literally the food that got me through each and every day. And now I'm paying for it in my later years. They've all come back to roost, but that was what I looked forward to each and every day, was going to the 7-Eleven and seeing my peeps. So.
Wow, memories. That 7-Eleven's been good to all of us.
You're right.
All of us. I had my fair share of Slurpees. I won't tell you how I did that. I always had to add a little something to my Slurpees, but we'll talk about that later. All right. So I'm sure a lot of people want to know about your path and what made you really decide that this was what you wanted to do. How did you know that this is what you wanted to do? I'm going to mix it up a little. Jamal, you go first.
So I love this question. I really do. And I actually really hope that he potentially is going to watch this or maybe come back, because I just reconnected with him recently. My grade 9 drama teacher. I had moved from Alberta to Ontario in grade 9, and I didn't get to choose my courses because it was partway through the year, so they just threw me into everything. I ended up in drama, and I remember I got into drama. I was like, I don't want to take drama. Drama's lame. I hate drama. And they put me in a class, and he gave us a class study that we had to just kind of improv everything right off the bat. And well, I mean, I'm going to boast. I nailed it. It was just, I just jumped into this character, played this part, never did it before. And after it was all done, everyone just kind of sat there with this look like, whoa, that was really good. And then the teacher called me over and he says, you ever thought of possibly doing this as a career? And I was like, no, come on, I'm not going to do this. And he says, no, you really should. You should give it a shot. And literally, that was the thing that did it. I had no direction of what I wanted to do with my life until he said that. And from grade 9 on, that was it. I was like, I'm going to be an actor. Nothing's going to change my mind. Not my parents. Not poverty. Nothing. I'm going to do it. And there it is. And
look at you now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. It's always good to have that, one teacher that you, and especially if they are able to see and hear all the accolades that you're giving them for giving you that drive to do what you're actually doing now. So that's really good. Alexis.
For me, I always wanted to be a teacher. I think in my like grade 8 yearbook, I was like, I'm gonna be a math teacher. Then slowly turned to like English or drama. I'd never really seen anyone who looked like me on stage. I was sort of late to theater, I guess, as I think a lot of musical theater people would say that, 'cause if you haven't been dancing since you were 6, like you're behind. I still don't dance. Just sing and act. But yeah, I remember we had a weird rift in my friend group or something when I was like 13, and my mom was like, you need something that's your own. And I would sing in the shower, but I was painfully shy. I ended up singing, auditioning for this youth choir in London, Ontario called Amable Singers. I got in, I was a second alto, and I learned how to sight sing, and it sort of grew from singing and singing in a choir to being curious about theater and acting when I was 16, and then sort of like cramming it all in and going like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And then still going like, I'll just be a drama teacher though. Cause again, that was when I'd sort of gone, oh, well, I've seen a bunch and I don't see any Black people. So probably can't do this. But I was, well, actually, when I was 16, I went to the Shakespeare School at the Stratford Festival, which is their youth summer camp. And I saw Karen Robinson on stage in Harlem Duet by Janet Sears. And I saw this curvy Black woman in front of me and I went, oh, maybe I can do it. So she was my inspiration point where I started flirting with like, maybe I could go. And all that summer, all these amazing actors, Kyle Blair, I'm trying to think who else in that season. We're like, I went to the University of Windsor. And I was like, what is this place? I gotta check out the University of Windsor. I, of course, did digging and they went to the musical theater program back in the day. That does not exist anymore. So I was like, dang it, do I still want to go there? And I was like, yes. Like Anthony Cimbaluna went there. Bridget Wilson went there. Kevin Hanchard went there. Elena Bridgewater, Adrian Marchuk, Stephen Wimet, Tom McAmis, like all these amazing actors that I looked up to specifically at the Stratford or the Shaw festivals. I was like, okay, there's something about that water at UWindsor. So maybe there's no singing, but I can act. And I auditioned for UWindsor and I dragged the old head of the music theater voice department out of retirement when I went. Stephen Henriksen, because he taught all the people I looked up to. I dragged him out of retirement, dragged with love, and he gave me voice lessons my whole 4 years. So I got a musical theater degree in a certain way, and then the rest is history. About a decade ago. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, when you dropped all those names, it's like hashtag Windsor Proud.
Yeah.
Really nice. Oh my goodness. Thanks. Kevin, so what was your aha moment? This is what I want to do.
I talk. It's what I do. It's what I've always done. My parents love to tell a story about when I was about 3 or 4 years old and we went on a bus trip from the Bay Street bus terminal to New York City. And my mom talks about the fact it was an overnight trip and I did not stop talking from the moment we left the terminal till we got to New York. And everybody on that bus knew every bit of my parents' business, every bit of it. And, you know, and using that gift, I thought that I would be a lawyer as a young kid, but I got bit by the bug somewhere around the 5th grade. I think I was in a play where I played the Wolfman or something like that, and just people watching me. I felt eyes, and I got off on that. That was like, you know, power. That was like the sun to me, and I just felt myself, you know, really thriving on that. And then I played Will Parker in Oklahoma in the 8th grade. And at that point, yeah, that's back when I could sing and dance and my limbs were all, you know, nimble and stuff. And then I went to Arts High School. So I went to Cawthorne Park in Mississauga and did drama for 4 years. And still after that, I come from a blue collar family. Although I knew I wanted to be an actor, I didn't think you went to post-secondary to be an actor. You went to post-secondary to get a degree in something stable, and then you follow that acting dream perhaps afterwards. But I was fortunate enough that we did a play in my OAC year, my grade 13 year in high school, for the Sears Drama Festival, which also I think is no longer in existence. And I won a scholarship, a modest scholarship, but back when I was going to school, that money meant a whole lot to a family that didn't have a whole lot. And but I had to go to theater school in order to get it. With that check in hand, I said to my folks, here it is. And my folks said, you'd be a fool if you didn't pursue it. So I went to Windsor, and the rest is history. It was one of the best decisions I had ever made.
Wow. I feel like Kevin and I are kindred souls. You all missed out on a whole lot of backstage conversation, but message to the teachers who would write, chatterbox, look at him now.
100%. 100%. Kevin is quite intelligent, but he can't seem to keep himself still. He's quite talkative. Those are through all of my report cards as a young kid. Yeah, and here we are.
Look at him now. I want to ask, because I know, Alexis, you mentioned that you were terribly shy. I'm interested in knowing how you navigated that, because, singing and acting requires a lot of emotion. So how do you navigate doing that on stage?
I mean, I am a full-blown Leo now, and anyone who hears I was shy is just like, what? I mean, I met Kevin by going to see his theater show in Toronto, and being like, I go to the University of Windsor, so he'll speak with me, and just like, hey, great show, I go to Windsor, you went to Windsor, be my friend. And he, because he's Kevin, was like, okay, crazy girl, let's go. But I was so painfully shy when I was younger, and grew out of it, and probably thanks to theater, and now I'm very outspoken. But oh my gosh, the knees shaking. I mean, it was a lot to work through, and was terrifying every time. But through that fear and through that rush was, a feeling of success, or someone's listening, or I don't know what those different factors are, but that adrenaline high resulting in something good happening, that made me keep pushing through the shaky knees and the trembling voice, and every time you do it, it gets just a tiny bit easier. I say that, but then you make me dance on stage now, and those shaky knees will come right back out again, or you make me do a TV or film audition, and I'm like, what? Oh God, I don't talk that loud. We're not in a theater. I don't know what to do. What do I do with my hands now? I think we all have that in different ways, but yeah, I guess you find your little hook in it for how you feel it can be the best outlet for you. Like singing is now for me, or acting on stage is now for me, but anything different or close to is its own fear factored thing. But yeah, I was absolutely a painfully shy child, and if you told me that I'd be a theater actor when I was 8 or something, I would not believe you for a million years.
Oh wow.
And my parents too, they were like, really this? They were very grateful that I went and got a degree. That was their only request. I was like, sure, do that thing, but please get a degree, and then maybe you can pivot with that if you need to. Which I still appreciate.
We all nod yes. All our parents are like, go to school, get a degree. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so you can break out of your shyness step by step, find your inner Leo, find your inner Alexis. Let's not say Leo, find your inner Alexis. That's what I'm gonna do, okay? I do have a question for you now, Kevin. In choosing roles, what do you normally think of? So, when I think of a couple of your roles, like your role in The Porter, and seeing stories like that come to life that means so much to Black people in North America, how do you feel when you're a part of something like that?
Grateful. The Porter is one of the greatest gifts I've been given in my career. There's no two ways about it. It was a Black written, Black create, Black led, Black directed, Black everything TV show on television, on Canadian television, on American television, on international television. And the mood, the spirit, the heart on set, the community, the fellowship was unlike anything I've ever experienced. But it's something that I want to continue to experience. I've been fortunate enough to experience that on stage. I've done plays, with all Black casts. I did a gospel musical back when people thought I could sing, in Halifax, Nova Scotia. That still is with me to this day. called The Gospel at Colonus. And there's just a different way in which we move. And I mean that figuratively and literally. And to be able to do that in a show like The Porter was great. So there was no choice about whether or not, do I want to do this role or not? I had to do that part. And the audition, they could see the I don't want to call it desperation, but the need that I had to play that role and to be a part of that whole project. But, and we just hope that through the success of The Porter, that there are many more projects like that down the line, because it was a tremendous success. People realize that, just because it's a Black show doesn't mean that the truths aren't universal. It's about people who love and want more for themselves and for their children, and are trying to, scratch and claw for legacy. And it reached a broad audience, and I think people really appreciated it.
Definitely. And I think I'm going to ask you, Jamal, actually, because I'm interested to know, because when you think of the shift, because now I can tell you in the past couple of years, when I turn on the TV and I see so many Black faces where I never used to see them. I mean, last Christmas, I saw an Oreo commercial with a Black Santa and I had a tear in my eye. I was like, so when I have my kid picture of when I was a kid sitting on Black Santa's lap in Jamaica, and people looked at it like it was odd and it was normal to me. Look, it's here now. So do you find that people are tapping into you more now for spots that you thought before you might have had to fight for a little bit more?
I tell you, I joked about this with a lot of my other non-Black friends, actually, and I said, it's ironic, Barack Obama becomes president, suddenly I'm getting all these roles and these auditions for things that I never got before. But yeah, you say Black Santa, I actually played a character who dressed up like Santa in a TV movie just last year. And I remember saying to my agent when I got the audition, I said, they're not going to cast me in this role. I said, they're not going to cast Black Santa. Why am I going out for this? And she literally told me, she said, the way things are going nowadays, you never know, Jamal. I think you never know. And then she calls me 2 days later and she says, guess what? And I was like, I guess I owe you a beer then, because that's crazy. Like, I can't believe they actually cast me. And I did another movie last year where for the first time I actually got to work opposite as a love interest to someone who wasn't Black. Because normally whenever I'm paired up in couples, I'm always paired up, obviously, as most of us are, with another Black person. And I've always, because I'm married to a white woman, that I said, I would like to sometimes, play something that's closer to what my reality is, so that people who are in my situation, interracial relationships, can relate to that. And lo and behold, got cast in production, and they legit wanted me to work opposite Lindy Booth. And I was like, oh, really? Like, okay, so we're opening up here. We're willing to just explore, and we're willing to actually let someone like me have this leading role. Okay, so it's been rough though. Like, it's in the beginning it was really, really tough. I was cops, gangsters, thugs, rough guy in the corner, like all those stereotypical hard-edged characters. So when I got something that didn't say that, my hope got a little bit high, because I was like, can this be the one that breaks the niche? Can this be the one? And then, it's finally, for me personally, it's finally actually, breaking through, and there's more and more. And like with the shows I've had in the last couple of years, there's so many now that I go on set. I just did an all Black movie for the first time too. And I was there, and I did the first read through, and I remember when all the pictures came up on the screen, good thing I was on mute, because the first thing I said to myself is, oh my God, everybody's Black. Because I didn't think that they were going to cast. I looked at the names, and I was like, no, some of these names might be white names, but no, they cast everybody Black. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Like, really fun. So, yeah.
Wow, I can only imagine that sense of, it's like you feel comfort knowing that you're surrounded. It's like everyone's each other's blankets. Right? Because you can now, you don't have to worry. I had to explain to a friend what code switching was, because she didn't know what it was. And she's a person of color, but she just never knew what it was. And like, I don't have to worry about that. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go back to Alexis now. You talked about not really seeing many people on stage who looked like you. And well, as a kid, I used to go to a lot of theater stuff because my parents loved that. Like in Jamaica, we went to all the shows every weekend. And then in New York, fortunately for me, the school I went to was a all Black and Hispanic high school. And we had a lot of stuff. And we had a lot of people who would just always show up to our school and support. So I saw a lot of Black people on stage. So for you, how was it really trying to navigate that world when you were just starting out?
I mean, I was told in school, like based off of what they had seen and experienced in theater when they were in theater, the professors, that I would never be an ingenue. I would never do those kind of roles when I went to school. I was cast in some ingenue stuff though, so I guess they also were experimenting with challenging their own archetypal norms. I played hero in Much Ado About Nothing, and I was surprised I got that, but auditioned for it with the intention to say, I can play this, screw it. Whether I did it justice in their eyes or not, well, who knows? I don't care. But the idea of entering the musical theater world, and also with a BFA in acting, some were like, you didn't go to the musical theater school, so there were a lot of different archetypes I'm still trying to break down in my career as far as which one do you do? I met with a lot. Do you sing or do you act? Do you do Shakespeare? Do you do Shaw? And I say, I do it all. And they go like, no, like pick one. I'm still finding that 10 years in, which is annoying because you think of like Deb Hay, you think of these great multifaceted actors who don't have to get pigeonholed, but I guess times that by a few more things, being a woman and then being a woman of color. Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard to get into rooms. I found out that I needed to switch my agent to have someone who would really fight for me instead of sort of going like, that's just what it is. I found I really hated TV and film because I auditioned for the like in the hood things, and that's just so not, I can't even fake that. I can't even do it with a straight face. So I found myself really closing those doors early, and that's something I should look into again, now that those archetypes are hopefully fading into the background. But even my first agent said, like, if I wanted to work in TV and film, I needed to get a nose job and lose a bunch of weight. So again, I was happy to just say like, no problem, I want to do theater. Because if Karen Robinson can do it, if someone who looks like me can, then I'll start there and start defying standards and archetypes there. My first season at Stratford, I booked when I was 24, and I booked the lead in Carousel, this Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. And my face was on a poster, and I all season long had people of color come up to me and say, I didn't even know what the show was about. I just saw you on the poster, and I'd never seen that ever before at the Stratford Festival for a musical. And I bought my ticket and came. On the other hand, I heard about people who were like, I know some people and I'm going to call and we're going to get her removed because she shouldn't be, like, this is wrong. How dare she? So both sides of that, and that was 2015. So that was not that long ago when this was happening. I think I was the first woman of color as a lead in a musical. We've had supporting leads, but never like the main couple. Again, that was 2015. So I'm so appreciative of like all the shoulders I stand on that got me there. Even that director was American. So I was also very cognizant that she had to fight for me herself and say, I know that she's 24 and young. I know that she's Black, but this is who I'm going to cast. And I'm very appreciative to that human for opening up brains and minds and, again, breaking archetypes at that theater. And hopefully that was contagious and spread across the country as other facets of the arts industry were trying to open up. But it was a very slow progress of like what I could play, and of course that was an ingenue, so I also felt that pride of going like, okay, I can redefine what an ingenue is. I can redefine what you think the leading lady looks like. I can redefine, and it can fit in me, and that can be good. But again, the visibility where Karen was for me, to know that I was doing that for other people, is really, really empowering.
Wow. Well, you dared to because you could, and you did. So they just need to deal with it.
Can I be so bold? I know you didn't ask me nothing, but I'm gonna say something because I remember I said that I talked. That's what
Go
I do.
ahead, Kevin, be bold.
I just want to tag on something that Alexis has touched on a couple times, right? And maybe you might get there, Duania, but it's case in point that representation matters, right? Do you know what I mean? Because I have the same story. I was in high school and thinking about not pursuing theater after high school until I saw Alison Seeley Smith in Tartuffe at Canadian Stage. And I don't know if you guys know Alison Seeley Smith. She's a powerhouse of a woman. And she's the original artistic director of Obsidian Theater. And Alison Seeley Smith is about 2'1", but she was on stage there. And God bless you, Alison, if you're listening to me, you're 2'1". Don't try to act like you're 2'5", you're 2'1". And she was holding her own on stage with the late, great Brent Carver. And she was toe to toe with that dude. And a young Black boy was sitting in the audience watching every single word and saying that that little 2'1" woman could hold her own and kick the ass off of this dude who's nominated for Kiss of the Spider Woman, you know, then maybe I can give it a shot too. Karen Robinson's up there doing Harlem Duet on a Stratford stage, not knowing that there's a little Black girl up in the stage going, damn it, I can do it too. That's why things like the Porter matter. That's why, you know, the movie that you were in, Jamal, matters, because when you see these things happen, there's always someone out there who is watching and taking heart and who walks an inch taller the next day, who goes to school and stands up to that teacher who's been marginalizing them for the last 6 months or the last 2 semesters. And they say, you know what, I got a little bit more steel in my spine and we can do it. There's someone out there who's trying to pitch a script, who's been getting door slam after door slam after door slam, who says, damn it, if this can happen, mine can happen. You know what I mean? Or people who say, you know what, damn it, forget about the door slamming. We're gonna do our own thing. We're gonna put it on the internet. We're gonna do a web series. We're gonna whatever. And then suddenly the wheels start to move and change starts to happen. And that's because people see other people doing it. When you feel like you're on an island, when you're growing up in London, when you're growing up in Mississauga, when you're alone in Calgary, when you're in, when you were different, you're in your all Black high school in New York, so it was different for you. But when you're in these little pockets in Canada and you feel like you're alone and you feel like you're the only person doing it, it's hard to gain momentum. But when you see someone out there doing it, things start to happen, and as I said, momentum starts to happen and things start to change, and I'm appreciative of that, and that's why I want to continue to be on that representation train, because we've got some good momentum now. Things are happening. The Legacy Awards happened a few nights ago in Toronto, and people are realizing that we're up to something. You know what I mean? As a people, we're up to something. We're up to big things, and we can't be held back. So I'm just proud of my people, and I'm proud of everybody here tonight.
Can I jump in there quickly? You said that about the Legacy Awards, Kevin. I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a young friend who I used to work with on my side job at Good Life Fitness, a guy named Caleb, and he was actually at the Legacy Awards for a project that he just did. He's a young Black actor rising up, and when we worked together, he asked me, what was it like coming up through the industry? It's like I haven't got a lot of jobs. I'm doing all these auditions, haven't gotten anything. And I remember I said to him something that actually Catherine Simon would remember too, because Catherine said this to my then girlfriend when I first graduated from Windsor. And I had auditioned for about a dozen projects, didn't land a single thing. And Catherine said to my girlfriend at the time, she said, do you have any idea how many people have seen his face? And I didn't take that to mean anything at the time. I was like, who cares? People see my face. This isn't paying my bills. I need people to give me jobs. And it's amazing how that actually does come back around, because I've had people who've talked to me years later and said, oh yeah, you were on my short list for so many of these projects. And it's like, I'm glad I finally got to cast you in this now. And oh yeah, you know what? I saw you in this project and that's why I wanted to call you in for this. And I'm like, oh, that works. And I said the same thing to Caleb. And sure enough, not too long later, he landed his first job on Suits. Then he landed another job on Private Eyes. And these are big roles. I said to the guy, I said, dude, my first role was 3 lines. This guy had 3 scenes. in his first role. I said, "You're definitely doing better than I am, boy. So trust me." So and he was at the Legacy Award. So I was just saying it's just good that he got to represent there as well. So that was my 2 cents. I just want to throw that in there.
That's a lot more than 2 cents. That's worth at least $2.
It's $1, $2, yeah.
Tony.
And one last thing. Someone mentioned in the chat that I had to big up the ex-Windsor grad as well, Christian Vincent, who was the choreographer on the Porter. And I can't forget my boy Christian Vincent. I had the pleasure of being in another project with him a couple of years ago. But man, and he got nominated for an Emmy for his work on the Porter as well too. So as I said, we're up to big things, man. We're up to really, really big things, and nothing's gonna hold us back.
And you know what? We all have to remember that we need to really start exposing our young ones to things that we don't normally seem as, a part of our path. Take them to the theater. Like I took my nephew to see, Julie Black was in a play right before the pandemic hit.
Caroline for Change.
Caroline for Change, yes. And I took he was 10 at the time. No, he had to have been 8 at the time. Because he's like, I've never been to a play before. I'm like, you know what? Let's go. We're going to one. And yeah, he might not have paid attention. He was more interested in the very large cookie at the concession stand, but he went and he did remember things about it and he had the experience, right? So we need to really, let's just have a field trip and bring a bunch of kids to Alexis's next show. Like, let's just do it.
It's going to be White Christmas at the Shaw Festival, and I'm playing Betty, and Judy's being played by Mary Antonini. And I was like, is this going to be the first Black sisters? I wonder. It's not what you'd expect. So
I bet yes for 1,000 points, Alex. Yes.
Kind of exciting.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Love it. I want to ask a question that I think a lot of people might have. Like, how do you choose the people around you? How do you choose who you want to represent you? Because that is very important, right? Because I know, Alexis, you mentioned that you had to switch agents. Like, how do you choose all those people and make sure that they understand what you want and understand how to represent you? And are you actively seeking out people who are Black so that they can understand a little bit more about you and what you want? I don't know who wants to go first. Let's go with Kevin.
It's a really interesting question that you just asked right now. I'm in the process of changing my representation, and that's a big thing I'm going to be trying to figure out over the next little while. But I'm at a point now where I'm not trying to make people happy. Do you know what I mean? There's for so long as actors, we're so grateful when people come see our work, and when people say good job, and when people, hire us, and when people, hire us again, and all that kind of stuff. All of us here have been blessed to have that, but there comes a point where you do have to start thinking about, here comes the word again, legacy, right? Because there's going to come a point where you look back at and take stock of your career and go, well, what the hell did I do? Like, maybe I worked for 25 years, but what the hell did I do? How did I move the needle? What did I leave behind? And I'm at the point now where I'm looking at what are my kids going to say about me when I shed this mortal coil, right? Like, what did my dad do? So, okay, he was on a show with the dog, and, he did this stuff and blah, blah, blah. But, did he do something of significance? Is he someone who I could be proud of? And I'm looking now for representation for an agent who shares that like-mindedness about it, who's thinking big picture, who's not thinking job to job, who's not thinking paycheck to paycheck. It's important, right? And the thing is, not that the person has to be Black, right, to be your agent, but they have to have an understanding of what it is to be Black in Canada and in the business. Do you know what I mean? And that's hard. That's hard for a lot of people. So it's not an easy situation. So I'm in the process, and I'll say to be continued. I'll let you know how it goes. But I think it's important, and I tell a lot of people to stop being so damn Canadian. And I mean that with every sense of love and pride of being Canadian as well. But we can't be sitting there waiting for crumbs and be thankful for crumbs anymore. And especially as artists. And the artists that I respect are the people who are ballsy and say, you know what, I may not get this role, but this is who I am as an actor. This is my take on the role. This is what I believe this character has to say, and I'm going to go down in flames doing it, right? at this audition. I'm going to go down in flames and I'm not going to get the role, but I'm going to walk out the door with my head held high. And I love that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of thing that I want to build with someone who helps me on that path, who helps me get to the next rung, get to the next level. Because you know, there's all of us, we look back and we go, that was fine, but what does it amount to? And that's not just actors, that's people. You know, that's people, that's 9-to-5ers, that's, you know, lunch bucket, tool belt kind of people, that's, you know, business people, briefcase kind of people. And I think there just comes a point where you look back and go, what was it all for? What does it mean? And I want to find someone who will help me on that journey, because it's important.
Well, keep us posted on that. And I think also going through the pandemic, a lot of us have, you know, shifted our mindset. Like we feel like we've lost a bit, or we've just realized what's important and how important our time is, and we need to make the most of it. So yeah, definitely. Jamal, how do you go about?
So myself, I like to surround myself with people who are like-minded. They want essentially to achieve the same things that I'm trying to do. So with my agent, it was a case of, well, I literally wanted an agent first to get me roles, get me roles, get me roles. And she got me roles. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I've gotten a lot of roles. Now I want more roles of substance. She's like, okay, boom, changed. Now we're doing roles of substance, you know? And for me, that's what I want. People who are willing to just go where I feel like I need to go next, and not be looking at me and thinking, well, I don't know if that kind of role is for you, you know? It's like, well, yeah, sure, why not? It's, you know, and sometimes my agent will look at me and she'll say, you know what, I think you're actually better for this role. And it's like the lead. And I'll look at her and think, really? Like, you think I'm gonna get this? I'm like, I'm not gonna get this. But she's like, no, do it. If you don't do it, I'll submit you for the next one down, the next one down. We'll start from the top and work our way down. Instead of working from the bottom, we're working our way up, you know what I mean? And I found now I do want to surround myself with more Black people personally, because not only just because we are going to be more like-minded, but also because I want to help more people like me. Growing up in this industry, I had a really unfortunate circumstance right before my very first job. I'm not going to say the guy's name. I'm pretty sure, Kevin, you've probably met this guy. But my very first job, I came out of the room and I was all like pumped and I was all excited after I did the audition. I came out and I go to sign out, and before I even get a chance to sign out, the guy, how many people are in the room? And I'm kind of, you know, freaking out, looking at us, and I didn't even get a chance to answer before he's just like, come on, man, you just came out of the room. You don't know how many people are in there. And I thought to myself, first of all, what does it matter? You should do the same performance regardless of who's in the room. It doesn't matter. Secondly, I'm thinking, you're a veteran actor. I'm a small little, you know, 22-year-old rookie who's lucky he didn't just pee himself coming out of this audition for this role, and you're jumping on my back because I don't know who's in there. And I just thought to myself, I would never do that to a new actor. I would never do that to a young guy who's out of school and who's like nervous. I would come out and I'd say, hey man, how you doing? You have a good audition? All right, you know, yeah, good job, you know, or help them out to sign out. And I just, after that moment, I just always felt from that point, if there was ever a chance to help another young Black actor or give him you know, like a stepping stone in some project I was doing, I was always going to try. And like I said with my last story with Caleb, I was like, this was my chance. I was like, here's a young Black actor just like me. He's worried that he's not going to make it. Give him the confidence. And now because of it, I'd like to say that that's probably the reason why he felt he's going to keep going and didn't want to quit. So
here I am again. Hi.
It's okay. Everyone meet my co-host.
Well, hi.
Kevin.
So, yeah, I didn't realize this was the Kevin Hanchard show. Welcome everybody. My name's Kevin Hanchard. Just to piggyback on what you're saying, Jamal, this is part of what's changing right now, right? For so many years in the early years of my career, when there were 6 or 7 brothers in the room, in the waiting room waiting, we were all going for the same one role in the picture. Right? So we had to get there by stepping on our brother's head and our brother's chest to get that one role. Because if I ate, that means you didn't eat.
Yeah.
And if you ate, it means I didn't eat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a whole movement that's happening now because those norms that you're talking about, Alexis, are breaking. And there are Christmas movies with all Black people, because Black people apparently celebrate Christmas too. Oh my God. And there's Easter movies with all Black people because apparently we believe in Jesus too. Oh my God. You know what I mean? So now we've got all of these young brothers and sisters who are coming up now as a crew and as a posse, and they're all reading for each other, and they're all pushing and trying to help one another get to that next level that I'm talking about. Because the work is there, and because I eat doesn't mean you don't have to eat, and because you eat doesn't mean I don't have to eat. And we're no longer relegated to the role of Black best friend in the movies. Do you know what I mean? Which was like that's a whole nother panel. You know what I mean? But so I'm grateful for that, and that's why that dude jumped on you. He wanted to know, what do you know that I don't know? Because I need to beat you. I need to get that role. And now it's like, dude, how was it? Were you good? Were you all right? And that's why I'm grateful to a guy like Arnold Pinnock, who was one of the first brothers who said to me, hey, don't worry about it. This project is coming, man. And if I don't get it, you're going to get it. And we're all going to live, like, we're all going to raise the level of the community. You know what I mean? And that's sort of the mentality I think is out there now. And I hope by God that it really is changing. And that was the last time that happened to you, because I really do. I see there's a whole group of these cats out there now, like Shane Marriott and Tony Ofori and all these guys who are working together as a crew, as a unit, to really raise their game and sharpening steel to really, just sort of say, we're here, man, and we're not going anywhere.
Wow. Yeah. Yes, we're not taking crumbs anymore. That's right.
We're not taking crumbs.
I see Angelina in the chat saying, we lift as we rise. Yes, that is what we are doing. Alexis, I don't know if you want to answer my last question about, really trying to find the right people to surround yourself with.
Yeah, I think that that made me think of these two programs I helped initiate through Talk is Free Theatre in 2020. Talk is Free Theatre, which is centered in Barrie, Ontario, run, the CEO now is Arkady Spivak, and the artistic director now is Michael Toronto. But in 2020, as everyone lost their theater jobs, specifically film and TV was the savior for a lot, but the people who weren't happy to pivot into that were going, oh, my jobs are gone, what do I do now? Arkady founded this program called the Artist Big program that was supposed to be a guaranteed income for the next 3 years, I think, at 10 grand a year for 10 people. And then he had so many people apply, he made it available for 40 people at 7 grand a year. I think I'm entering year 3 of that now. Oh gosh, what is time? But we had this whole Artist Big meet over Zoom where most of us were able to meet and introduce ourselves and just sort of say, we applied, but what is this program? We get a guaranteed income. Will that just be shows that we'll do through Talk is Free Theatre or Zoom readings? And he said, I also want to implore you to think about like how you can make the industry better. How can I pay you money to figure out how to make the industry better? And I started somehow talking about my experience in a very scarring musical at theater in 2016 with a really awful director, and hearing from an older actress, that I was 25, hearing from an older actress say, not to me, but to a friend who then passed it on to me, that my friend was saying, well, Alexis is smart, like why is she having this awful time with this director who's not able to communicate? And the older actress said, well, I went through it, so now it's her turn. In answer to like, why aren't you helping Alexis? Like you could give her tools or support or interject when the director's bullying them. And they said, yeah, I went through it, it's now her turn. And upon hearing that, I decided to never be that person, ever. Out of that sharing of a story, I was like, I don't know how, but how can we make our theater spaces safer, better, healthier, more communicative, so that no one ever has to go through that ever again? And a group of now 5 of us formed a group, and we created 2 initiatives. One's called ARCS, ARCS, that stands for Authentic and Radically Curious Support. It's sort of a safe space initiative where we will go in on the first day of rehearsal and spend 3 hours with as many people as the theater can bring in. As far as cast, designers, crew, we'll sometimes meet them on the first day of tech and then sort of marry the 2 groups together. But we communicate. If the focus is on communication, maybe we can have a healthier ecosystem in our rehearsal room. So what if we actually take time to check in? What if we actually take time to get to know people and people's names instead of one through and, okay, up on your feet, here's the script? What if we spend time on room agreements? What if we spend time discussing what causes heat or friction in the play that we're doing instead of dancing around the awkward topic or that awkward word or that awkward scene that no one wants to talk about? What if we actually have a skeleton with which to say, this is the time we can talk about it, here's how we can talk about it? Maybe we don't have to answer the questions, but we need to feel safe enough that we can pose the questions and chew on it together instead of fragmenting off into separate parties and separate groups of, no, I think it's that, no, I think it's that. And then that usually blows up around tech time as tensions are high, time is short, and everything's too expensive. So we founded that program. We've also added a conflict management section to it, to the end of the sort of 3 hours, where we guide the whole group through like the basics of conflict management, like how conflict arises and how it's based in a lack of 5 essential human needs, the central point of conflict, and how you can address what needs aren't being met of yours to help go to that person that you're having this conflict with and communicate through it, and prioritizing that as care instead of, ooh, I'm the problem because I'm bringing it up, or ooh, I'm never going to get hired again because I'm creating tension by bringing up the fact that someone misgendered me or someone said a racist term to me as a joke and I didn't feel comfortable with that. Instead of tucking all that down and saying, I'm a contractual actor, I'll never get hired again, I don't want to be a troublemaker, what if we just prioritize us as humans saying, hey, I'd just like to discuss this. It seems so basic, and yet because we're all contractual workers, we don't have HR, we don't have accountability, we don't have a union technically. It's an association that actors belong to, so it's really hard to follow up with grievances or workplace harassment. But we call it sort of our first aid kit to theater, where we have Not in Our Space, which is through Equity, the association. We have the Haven Hotline. You have the government workplace harassment numbers that you can call, but what about those smaller microaggressions? How can we tackle that and prioritize that as we come back from the pandemic? So we got a grant and we were able to bring it into rooms for free, and now we're bringing it into universities, which is really, really exciting to see how it's bouncing off of younger students, let alone theater professionals who've been in the business for 30 years going like, where was this when I was 20, getting harassed? That also inspired us to create a two-way mentorship program, because we kept talking about the crap we keep passing forward to generations. I went through it, so now it's her turn. Could have been solved by, I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's different now, and let me share how it is different. And not a one-way mentorship of like, you're so famous, tell me everything, and I'm gonna be quiet and just listen, but I have something to share too. I would like you to feel heard, but I need to be heard too. And maybe through that, we can make our industry better, because we're both learning and we're both growing, and we're not passing crap on. We're improving and we're building. So we also founded that program, which also just got a huge grant. So we're actually in round 3 of choosing 40 participants, and they're getting paid $1,100 to just sit and talk to someone on Zoom. And in our last iteration of it, people were like, but where's the product? Like, we should make a show. We should do did we have to do and we're like, no, your time is enough. You are enough. And no one can kind of believe that. But we're like, these are the little changes that'll hopefully trickle into your rooms. We give them prompts because they're meeting strangers to have discussion points, and some of them are like just check-ins and icebreakers, but some of them are also like, what do you want to see different in your industry? What was a moment that went wrong in rehearsal? And if you could go back in time, how would you fix it? And share across that generational divide with your partner on like, oh, I saw that differently, or oh, back in my day, we couldn't do that, but now I'm hearing you can do that, and that's amazing. I'm going to do that next time in my room. I've never felt empowered to. We're hoping for all that juicy deliciousness to happen. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot. Sorry.
No, but it's a lot of good stuff, because there was obviously a huge gap that needed to be filled, because you were all so focused on just the job, but not everything that is surrounding, making sure that you are okay in that job and everything that's going on is, right. So that is really, really good. I'm interested, you fellas, please jump in on this one, because how would this have benefited you when you were just starting?
Well, I mean, to be honest, given my last story, anything would have helped me. This sounds like it would have been great because it would have taken out a lot of some of that negative aspect that is there. Like Kevin was saying, like, you know, if I eat, you don't get to. You know, people would step on each other. So, but I mean, I would have taken anything, any kind of help, any kind of advice from any actor. I mean, like I said, when I was in university, I was actually, people used to talk about Kevin to me, about how, you know, it's like they'd mention how he'd gone off in the business, and I used to always think, like, who's this Kevin Hanchard guy? I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. And then I came into the business, and I would see his name on the audition sheets, and I'd be like, oh, which one is he? Which one is he? You know, because I'd wanted to, like, you know, meet him and be like, can I talk to you? Like, I've heard so much. And like, anytime I heard about actors before me, and then I'd see them, I'd want to talk to them because I wanted to learn from them. You know, like, what did you do to get to this point? I did. You were saying Alison Seeley Smith. I did The Polished Hoe with Alison Seeley Smith at Obsidian Theater. And yeah.
I saw you in it, man.
Did you? See, you were in the theater, and I didn't even know who you were at that point. But, and you're right. She might come after you for calling her 2'1". But, but that was one of those things. Like, Alison found a way to change me as an actor, not by just being, like, you know, uplifting, but give me constructive criticism. When they first chose me for the reading, they actually didn't even want me for that, because they did it and they were like, we're not sure. Then they called me again to do the actual play, and it was Alison who sat with me specifically and talked with me, and she's like, I need you to delve into this character. I need you to understand this. I need you to do that. Like, instead of being like, you didn't do these things last time, she was more like, this is what I need you to do to play this role. And that's what helped, because I thought to myself, I didn't know these things that I wasn't doing. Now she's telling me, instead of berating me for it, I feel inspired to actually try to fix this and do better. Instead of being like, you know, you're really slow in your lines when you're doing it. You don't have a lot of energy. It was more like, I want to see some enthusiasm. And I was like, okay. Cool. And so, you know, Alexis, when you say that, like, that's great. Like, that's the kind of things that young actors definitely need coming out. Stuff that takes us out of those old niches, those old, you know, I eat, you don't get to kind of situations. Like, no, we all need to do this together. It's not you or me. It's you and me.
Our thing was that we didn't want to wait for anyone to do it. Like, we felt unqualified, and we were like, if it were easy, if this were straightforward, it would already exist, and it doesn't. No one has the time or money. If we can get some grants and fill in, we still need the theater to give us time, and it's precious time, but if we can pay for it for them, which we're still working on more grants because we spent it all really, really quickly, which is great. But how much are they willing to pay now to help better their rooms, because they're not quite sure how to. They're hearing that we want more out of the pandemic. They're still in it, God love, on the other side of 2020, but people don't know where to begin. The institutionalized things in businesses don't quite fully translate to theater or to the arts. So how can we have that correct language, but also have enough padding for us as actors to say, okay, I have my mental health first aid. I have one of our members is getting their conflict management diploma from the University of Waterloo, etc. Like, how can we build those things, but also happily step aside and say, we need something new now, or someone else knows more, please come on in. We hope that we're just the buffer between a real proper institutionalized solution. But again, we can't just wait for that to happen. We have to try.
Kevin, it's okay. Jump in. I know you're waiting for me to call on you.
No. Alexis and Jamal have said everything that I'd like to say. Thank you.
Aw.
Such a political answer.
Oh my gosh. You know, you kind of threw in there a little bit of University of Windsor connection. Tell everyone, how did you all really meet? Because, you know, Jamal, you threw it in there that, oh, well, I heard about Kevin when I started University of Windsor. Let me get that going.
Okay, so brace yourself, Kevin. This is a fun story. So yes, I like to. I'm gonna big us both up a little bit here. At the time, this is what it kind of felt like. It kind of felt like I was young Denzel being told that you need to be a little bit more like Sidney Poitier, which was you, obviously. And I was kind of like, and the whole time I was just like, yeah, that Kevin did these things, you know. It's like you wanna aspire, you know, you follow him because I mean he's doing really well and all this stuff. And I was like, who is this guy? Like, so I come out of school, and first big audition I had was for Blue Orange. Let's see the reaction he gets right there, because Kevin got that role. I didn't get that role. I also met your director a couple years later, and I was telling him about it. He's like, oh yeah, you were auditioning? He's like, yeah. And I said, I didn't get past the second round. Apparently I just choked it really bad. He says, yeah, I didn't get a chance to even meet you at the audition. I said, yeah, no, you cast Kevin instead. He's like, is he really that much better than me? And I saw your name on sheets forever, and I was like, I never saw. And then it wasn't until the Porter, when I finally saw it, and I saw his name, and I was like, oh, that's Kevin. And I realized, I've seen this guy a dozen times in the audition room, and I had no idea who it is. And then, yeah. I mean, I've crossed paths with so many UWindsor alumni people on TV at auditions and stuff like that. It's kind of fun. It really is, because you kind of feel like, yeah, we're doing it. You and me, man. Yeah, we can't both get the job, but we're doing good. You know?
It's funny though, being you know,
My cheeks hurt.
it's
Take your time, Sydney. Take your time.
It's funny. It's funny. It's funny being a Black theater school student. It's funny being a Black theater school student, mm-hmm. right? Because in Canada, you know, there's count them on you know, on your fingers. You don't need a second hand. You don't need a whole lot of toes sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember I did the same thing. Like before me, there was Nigel Sean Williams, and I was following his career, and he was winning DORA for gosh, I think it was Angels in America and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And no, sorry, it was Gare. Will Smith did the movie. Remember Will Smith? Remember that dude when he was a thing? The Kandinsky painting. Oh gosh, why is my brain escaping me now? Anyway, he was winning.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, it'll come to me. This is what happens when you reach my age, Alexis. And wow. you look at the people who came before you. Anyway, that's my point in seriousness. You look at the people who came before you, and it means something. And I think it's, you know, whether you realize it or not, Alexis, you're working on mentorship, right? Like, and mentorship is what means something. Someone who put a hand on your shoulder and say, I got you. It's all right. I've been there. This is the way through. You don't have to carve your like a new path through this wooded, you know, mess of a business. This is the way through, or this is an option through. Do you know what I mean? And I was able to become friends with Nigel, and he helped me with a lot of things. And I you know, I lament the fact that you and I have not connected as UWindsor brothers to you know what I mean, to help one another through, because those relationships have really helped me quite a bit. And I met Alexis when she was, you know, still in school and working through some stuff, and we talked about it. We talked about being Black theater school students at the University of Windsor. Do you know what I mean? Because there's some things that you need as a theater school student, period. And then as a Black theater school student on top of that, you know, in some instances, Windsor wasn't able to provide or wasn't aware that we needed. And as good Canadians, we were like, we'll just suffer in silence, or, you know, or now we're gonna pipe up and say, you know, these are the things that we need. And to their credit, Windsor has come a long way and is trying to do a lot of things differently and has made significant changes in the last few years. But that's
like
the kind of
thing
floors,
that right, Kevin?
What's that?
Like heated floors.
Stop.
Like heated floors.
Yeah.
Stop.
That was Black theater school students who spearheaded that movement.
Yeah, we pay for your floors.
Little known fact. Little known fact. But it's true though, right? Like you look for those. It's human nature to look for those who came before you, and say, how did you make it through? What did you do? Jamal, what did you do to make it through? Alexis, what did you do to make it through? You've become successful. You've done that. I'm just trying to find my way. I don't even know if I should be in theater school. I don't even know if I can be an actor. You guys are doing it. How do you make it? And once again, I say it all matters. All of that stuff really, really matters.
Wow.
I got to work with Karen Robinson, who was my sort of like person I looked up to when I was 16. Like I was saying, she played my mom in an Obsidian Factory Co-Pro.
I saw that too.
Oh. Gravitational Pull of Bernice Trimble, the longest title in the whole world. But that moment of being able to connect with that person. And so I think we should be asking for we need some donors to get the Jamal Kevin show happening, because you got to have your moment now.
We got to bring brother back to the theater, man. Got to bring brother back to the
Come on.
theater.
It won't pay as well, but come on.
I thought you were going to say a television show. Then you said theater, and I was kind of like,
Jamal was like, I ain't doing no
all
theater.
right.
You know, the first thing I said is I ain't doing no more damn theater.
They haven't been very nice to me coming out, you know, so it's really rough. I got a bitter relationship with some theater stuff.
We're gonna drag you back, Jamal.
Theater.
Be a musical as well.
I did a
Okay,
musical.
so-
I did an opera. I was in the Midsummer Night's Dream opera presentation. I played the role of Puck because they wanted an acrobatic character, not a singer. So I didn't actually have to sing. I only had to speak the lines. I had to imitate Lysander Demetrius in that one little section. So I had
You've
to
been
sing
holding
that.
out on us? You're
You
an
know what I'm
acrobat?
saying? If you didn't say that, I was gonna say that. Like, what?
Cirque du
Oh.
Soleil.
Thing like it was like my name.
Oh
was
yeah, I just throw it in there and don't even stop. Yeah. They wanted someone who could do like, you know, cartwheels and flips and stuff like that, and I was like, oh yeah, I could do some of that stuff. I was 27, 28, so we're talking 14 years ago. So now if I do any of that stuff, it's like cartwheel, that's it, we're done.
ACL.
Medic.
Wow. I didn't know you were going to say acrobatics because I was going to ask you to like hit a note for us, but
Oh no.
all right.
No,
Okay.
I'll never forget the one line I had to do, which was for Lysander, and Demetrius has a low baritone voice, or in that musical, but Lysander was much higher, and I had to do it lying on my back. And I don't know if in Alexis, I don't know, you know, in terms of singing, I don't know, it's hard for me to lie on my back and sing directly up to the ceiling. I cracked on this line almost every show. I even had friends who would come to me and say, what happened with that line there? I'm like, listen, okay?
It's a comedy bit. It's a bit.
I landed the flip, okay? It's just I did what I'm supposed to do.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell you, this has been a wonderful conversation. This has been so much fun. Like, I feel like I know you all now. We are still, you know, Windsor family, but we're kind of getting closer to just family. Like, I'm coming to shows, I'm just doing it all. This was a really good conversation. Before we bow out, I have two more questions for you. One, I want each of you to tell me what you have coming up, like brag a little bit about all the places we can see you so that, you know, we can all collectively, I don't know if you all do this, but I have like a note in my phone of all the shows I need to watch. So get ready to add to that list, everybody. Alexis, you go first.
I think the only one I can talk about is White Christmas at the Shaw Festival. So if you want to see some good family theater, I again will not dance. I'm not the dancing sister, but I'll sing in it, and it'll be sweet. And the dancing will be amazing. And I think there'll be like a ridiculous amount of costume changes, so it'll be visually pretty. And I grew up watching White Christmas every Christmas, so again, to know that I watched Rosemary Clooney do it in the all white production, movie production of White Christmas, and that I get to step into shoes that, again, I was told I would never step into. I'm really excited for.
Awesome. And Jamal.
So I'm going to plug the show I actually just recently finished this summer, working with Rupert Everett and Patricia Clarkson, and another incredibly talented young female Black actress named Lydia West, who was also one of the co-leads on this show. I am incredibly excited about this show. It's a CIA kind of related show. Patricia Clarkson comes back, and we got to find a mole within the agency, and this was the greatest role where I got to just be me. You know, I got to be kind of a surly, stern, but yet I got to be in charge. I mean, I got to be the black man in charge of stuff.
It feels
you
real
know?
good about that.
Oh, it was great. It was so good. Like I got to get aggressive and mean with Patty in the middle of scenes, and she couldn't do anything but just take it because my character was in charge, you know. And and acrobatic stuff, I told him, I said, listen, you know, I can do a lot of fight scenes and stuff. You guys want to do it? So they were saying, well, you know, we're looking at season 2, so we're gonna try and see if we can engineer that for you. So I said, okay. So stay tuned for that. Gray.
Gray. So everyone, the name is Gray.
Gray. Yes.
Okay. Now, Kevin, what do you have coming up?
I'm still currently working on season 5 of Hudson Rex, which just premiered on Sunday on City TV, Sunday nights at 8:00. And I'm just about to start a new picture, which I'm working on during my hiatus, with an actor that many of you may remember. His name is Richard Gere, and I'm really, really excited about that. So we're going to be doing that over the next few weeks in and around the GTA. You know, and other than that, I'm just trying to raise 4 badass kids, you know, in the suburbs and try to, you know, give them a good sense of self and raise them with character and morals. And that's the most important job I've got. So I'm really looking forward to continuing that and spend some time at home over the next little while. And, you know, you guys will see me. I'm always around. I'll be doing something. You'll see the Jamal and Kevin show is coming real soon.
Okay, looking forward to that show. Can you give one piece of advice to people who really want to do what you do? Like, just give them something nice and sweet.
I always say be a sponge. That's my first thing. It's like, watch as much as you possibly can, like try everything, and then you can focus in on what aspects you want to do. Or again, like, I never want to do film and TV. Try it. Watch things, go see things, go meet people. They're usually nicer than you expect them to. Kevin will chat with you and surprise you. So just keep trying to engage with other artists and people you look up to, and again, people around what you do. Volunteer backstage, volunteer in a box office. Just get to know as much around what you want to do as possible, and just be a sponge and absorb all that information. I always say in the arts, if you're ever bored or you're ever not learning, then you should quit, because it should always be about a new director, a new play, a new experience. What can I learn? How can I heighten my craft on this next gig? If you ever feel like you're plateauing or bored, go be an accountant.
No shade
Fill
to
in some boxes that will stay the same. I love accountants. I need them. But if you want something consistent, like Excel boxes and spreadsheets, go there. This is ever changing, and we need to change. So be a part of it.
I love a spreadsheet. Don't worry. Love a spreadsheet. Jamal, what advice do you have?
I'd say this is probably the one and only time where this expression does make sense, and that is, no doesn't always mean no in this industry. No just means sometimes not yet. You know, I need a little bit more, or a little bit more convincing. Just never give up. You know, if you believe that you can do this, you should never actually give up doing it. You should keep pushing, find another angle. You know, you think, I want to do theater, and then it's not working. Try another angle. You know, maybe try television. You know, try film like I did. Theater did not work, and I chose a different angle. Try voice work. You know, there's lots of things. So no. Someone says no to you in this industry, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are not meant for it. It just means maybe you try a little harder or try another vehicle.
Wow, thank you. Kevin.
Other than work with Jamal and Alexis as often as possible, what I would really say is be yourself, right? Be authentically yourself. There's so many people who believe, they say, oh, hey, man, are you going to TIFF? Are you going to go schmooze and meet directors and go to the red carpets and so on and so forth? There's value in all that, and going and being at these places and seeing the work of other people. But I've never been a fan of the schmooze. There's something sort of that's inauthentic to me about that. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather people know who I am based on my work, based on my work ethic, based on my values, based on my character, that kind of thing. And if you do that, and if you go and meet people, like Alexis said, don't be afraid to walk up to somebody. Don't be afraid to walk up to me. Don't be afraid to walk up to Jamal. Don't be afraid to walk up to Alexis. Don't be afraid to walk up to Denzel. Don't be afraid to walk up to anybody, to Lakeith Stanfield, and say, I love your work. What's like, you know, what is it that you do? Like, I just have one question for you, know what I mean? Or if you're working with them, to take their time, and if they say, I'll get back at you because I'm in the middle of something right now, you respect that. But there's nothing wrong with walking up to people and just saying, it means something to me, because no matter where you are on the level in this industry, there's always something in you that takes pride in the fact that someone is watching you and values what you do and respects what you do. So be your authentic self. Bring your authentic self to your auditions. Bring your authentic self to events. Bring your authentic self to the work. Bring your authentic self when you go to meet and go for representation. Don't try to be what you think they want to see. Be who you are. Be who you are, because that's what this business needs. It needs more of us. It needs more of what we've got. It needs more of that genetic memory, that cellular memory that we have, because that's what makes your project sing, right? That's what makes every single project sing, is when you come to it fully and unapologetically Black, Asian, Caucasian, whatever it is, but come to it with your full heart and your full self. And people will either love you or hate you, but they will know who you are and they will value you for who you are. And that's what's the most important.
Wow.
The play we were talking about was 6 Degrees of Separation. I need this chat to be in my life. Like, this chat has given me all the questions. The chat told me where babies come from, and plays, and all kinds of stuff, man. I just click on the chat. It's just all there. Thank you, chat. Once again, you're my people.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I learned a lot of things, that the chat tells you everything.
Mhm.
I learned that we are not taking crumbs anymore. I learned that no does not mean no, not yet. I learned that, you know what? You can step out of your shyness into your Leo/Alexis season. So yeah, I learned a lot of things today. And I also learned that I will be the understudy to the understudy to the understudy to the understudy of the girl in the back with a smile on her face and no lines. I'm cool with that. So, this has been spectacular. We will need a part 2, maybe a part 3, because I love these chats. Thank you again, all of you, for sharing all of this experience with us on a Thursday night. Everyone, watch the alumni website so that you can get the alumni e-news and learn about what's coming up next. And on the behalf of the Office of the Anti-Black Racism at University of Windsor, we encourage attendees to learn more about the work being done by the office by visiting uwindsor.ca/anti-Black racism. Also, Black alumni, if you are interested in joining our informal alumni network, please contact Mariam Tolson-Murty by email, MARIUM, at uwindsor.ca to learn more about networking and mentorship initiatives. Visit uwindsor.ca/alumni for updates to let us know what you're doing, because we like to be nosy. We're family. We want to know what you're doing. And, we want to really try to find ways to support you. How can we support you if we don't know what you're doing? Learn about being nominated for alumni and recognition awards. Visit uwindsor.ca and share a memory of your time at UWindsor via the U and Remembers form. And remember to always be UWindsor proud. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. It's been a great night. Panelists, don't go anywhere. Bye.
Thank you.
This was fun.